Hi, I'm Chef Joe Murphy, co-host and co-founder of the Chef's Table Foundation. And tonight we're continuing on with a new series named Vegetarian Spice. And we're very pleased to say that we're being hosted at the Medfield TV station. And we're very pleased that we have Aditi Tate. She's the executive director and a great home chef. And you eat vegetarian food, you've been doing it your whole life.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's not just about vegetarian, but it's about the integration of all the wonderful spices in the cuisine that you grew up with.
Absolutely, yeah. And then there's a lot of protein in this diet, so I'm not deprived.
Right,
So
right.
just figuring out ways, and then I think some of that was an introduction to eat vegetarian food differently.
Right, right. Well, you're doing a great job, and we'd like to thank the board of directors as well for being willing to allow us to do this show with you.
Absolutely, yes.
So great. What are we making tonight,
Okay.
Chef?
So we are making two dishes today. One is called Nariyal Tomato Sar, which is coconut tomato soup.
Okay.
And then the other one is Zira Chawal, which is cumin rice.
Oh, what is it again?
Zira is cumin.
Oh, cumin
and-
rice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
So-
good.
And just to start off, we'll do the soup first, but
Yeah.
one of the things, coconuts are used very, very extensively in Indian cooking, especially in the south and in the coastal regions.
Really.
And
They
everything from rice dishes to soups to vegetables,
Yeah.
Desserts, you name it, it's there.
Yeah. Well, last week you made the spinach and it had some.
With some coconut in it. Yes.
Yeah, and it just all of a sudden came up through the, after you've had it in your mouth, and it was a really great experience, so I enjoyed it.
And one big difference is that when you're doing Indian cooking, you never use the sweetened variety, even for desserts.
Oh.
Because you control, for
Just-
desserts, you control
which
what
is-
sugar you're doing.
And Chef
And-
just really gave you, excuse me, a great tip. Always use if it's a salted product that you're going to make, a food, unsalted. And in this particular case, no sugar.
Right.
Because you
so
want to
the
control.
unsweetened,
Yeah.
you get different kinds. If you're buying coconut milk, you want to look for the unsweetened.
Unsweetened, right.
And then if it's the dry desiccated coconut that you're looking,
Yeah.
also the same thing, because typically here in the bakery aisle, you'll find the sweetened stuff, and you don't want to make a vegetable with that
Right.
because it'll make it sweet,
Yeah,
or rice with
yeah.
that.
And we also want to thank McCormick Spices for being a supporter
Right.
of the show and the foundation, and their great line of products, and we're using them. So that's great. And also, we're using some Goya product tonight, and they have most people know, they have a full section in the store,
Right.
so it's easy to find these ingredients. So let's move right into what we're going to do here.
Okay, so let's get started with the soup.
Okay.
The coconut tomato soup. So you can use butter, but this is clarified butter, and we have made this ghee.
Ghee.
We've made this before.
Yeah.
Again, I like it a little nutty, so
yeah.
it's kind of almost like
Right.
brown butter.
Right.
And so that's about, for the quantity that we're making, it's about 2 tablespoons of.
Right. And could you just, while you're doing this, just explain the darker butter? You didn't burn it.
No.
But you like to get that deeper brown.
Right, right.
And
So when you look at it, when you're making
Yeah.
it, it looks like you're burning it, but you're not. You just have to be careful, because it can go from a deep brown to dark brown real quick. So
Right.
there's a very subtle difference.
Right.
But-
what it'll do for you, it gives you that
Right,
nutty
right.
flavor.
Yes, if you can just smell that. I know, I wish everyone could
Oh,
smell
yeah.
this. It just
Yeah.
has that aromatic.
Yeah.
It adds to the taste.
Right. Well, when
So-
you and I invent smell-o-vision, everybody
That's true.
will be able to.
So that's about, again, if you don't like a lot of butter, you can use less of that, because coconut also has some fat content in it.
Right, right.
And so you don't want like a lot of that. And then, so I'm adding a teaspoon of cumin, whole cumin seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And
As opposed to ground cumin.
So I will be adding that as well.
Okay.
Today, cumin is the star. We are using it in both the
Okay.
soup and
Well,
then also in the rice dish.
Well, in my eyes, you're the star.
You too, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm just going to wait for that to heat up a little bit.
Yeah,
And
okay.
while we're doing that, we can talk a little more coconut because I can have
Sure.
so many stories about coconuts.
Okay.
So one of the things is I grew up with about a half dozen trees, coconut trees in my backyard.
Really?
So we never really purchased any coconuts. It was just there. We had these kids that would come up
Yeah.
and they were stocked. Like we would have at least 2 dozen coconuts to use. And my mother would start the morning breaking a coconut. And there's a way to break a coconut. There's like 3 lines on it. I wish I'd brought out the coconut to show you. Because to get that perfect half when you hit it, to
Oh.
break it,
Yeah.
it just comes out perfectly. So there's like a way to do it. Maybe next time. And then it's ready for the coconut milk. That was 1 can, the smaller can. I think it's 13.5 ounces of
Okay.
coconut milk. Okay. That starts beeping if I take it
Yeah.
out. That's why I wasn't doing
Okay.
that before. And then I'm adding a cup of tomato puree. It's really important to use tomato puree, not crushed tomatoes or diced, because you want that silky, velvety. You want to
Right.
match that texture
Right.
between the coconut milk
Yeah.
and the tomato. So I have, that's 1 cup. And then you want to bring that, add a cup of water and bring it all to a boil. And it's almost like a deep pink,
Yeah.
red and pink color. And then once you get, I may not be going and bringing it to a boil here.
Right.
I'll show you the finished product 'cause I already made some before.
Okay.
And once it comes to a boil,
Yeah.
you want to add salt
Okay.
and then sugar.
Well, we can do that.
the
And
salt?
you're using
Yeah,
the
I'm just gonna-
Himalayan
Yes,
pink salt, red
I'm just
salt?
going to pretend that it's boiling. It's not
Yeah.
yet. But
Yeah.
again, salt to taste. You don't want to do more than probably a half a teaspoon to three
Yeah.
quarters. But if you like it salty, then
Yeah.
you can add a little bit more. It depends on your
Yeah, and
individual taste.
I always recommend, don't go crazy with your salt and peppers. Let the product come together.
Right.
And then do a final tasting.
testing,
And then
yes.
you add to it to get to your finished product.
Okay, and this, it's a sweet and sour soup, so the sugar
Okay.
goes in. So about 2 teaspoons of sugar. Again, you can do a little bit
Yeah.
more, a little less, depending on how you like it.
Right.
And that's not going to taste very sweet, believe me.
Right.
And then comes the other ingredient, cumin, a half teaspoon of cumin in
This
that.
is the ground cumin?
Ground cumin, yeah.
Okay.
And you just bring it all together about 8 to 10 minutes once it comes to a boil.
Okay.
And then 3, much done, that's it, ready to
Okay.
serve.
I do have a question just for TV viewers. You're using the cumin seeds, and the crushed cumin.
Yes.
You threw the seeds into your oil, which was the ghee or the
Right,
clarified
right.
butter.
So you always do the seeds first whenever you're
Right.
doing, and if you're using because that's already cooked, it's roasted
Right.
and then ground up, so you don't need to cook that as much.
Right. But you're also, and I'm suggesting, you can tell me if I'm wrong, with the seeds, when you heat those up in that oil or ghee, it's drawing out the natural oils.
Yes.
Which is going to add to your flavor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes another little tip is if you have some lumps in the coconut milk, you want to make sure you stir it. It'll cook
Yeah.
down, but you don't want like big lumps in
Right,
there.
right.
So the whole point of this soup is it's really
Yeah.
silky, smooth, and creamy. So let me just pull this off of the heat and show you what it looks like. It's not
Okay.
done completely, but I'm switch
Right.
pans here.
Yep.
So this is what it looks like when it's cooking, and then you really want to cook it down.
Yeah.
You see it?
So you want to cook it down to get a thicker consistency?
Thicker consistency, yeah. So I
Okay.
can show you the finished product
Yeah.
at the end when we finish the rice
Right,
too.
right.
So
And that looks like at this stage, you're probably going to, what the portions would be a bowl?
yes, it depends, you know.
Yeah.
If you eat it with like typically in India, the way you eat soup here is different in India. So you mix the soup with the rice,
Right.
and South India you can do like a big cup of soup and a big cup of rice. That's your meal with some vegetables and some
Right.
beans on the side.
And the beans are for the protein.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And are these the beans you're going to be
No,
using?
those are going to be for the rice. That's a garnish for the rice. So
Right.
I'm just going to set this aside. We won't be using. Can I just have you
Okay,
put that away
sure.
over here?
Yeah.
And I'll show you we'll show the finished product
Yeah,
at the end.
sure.
So we'll quickly move on to the rice, and I have to keep an eye on the time.
It's okay.
So with this,
yeah.
again, it's cumin rice.
Okay.
We start off with 2 cups of cooked rice,
Yeah.
and you can do this with leftover rice if you want. Sometimes you just have some white rice, and, typically basmati rice if you
Yeah.
can use that, or anything long grained.
Okay. And I was just going to ask you, do you put a little ghee in there?
Always,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
ghee or butter.
Yeah. The ghee is nice because you get rid of all the fats. You're skimming
Yes.
the milk
Yeah,
solids.
it just leaves you with the right flavor and the right kind of fat. Because you do need to eat a little bit of fat, but the
Yeah.
good one is better for you. So same thing, I'm using the whole cumin seeds in there,
Yeah.
and want to make sure that I don't want that to burn.
Right.
So this starts sputtering.
Yeah.
I'll just add the rice actually right away.
Okay.
Typically,
Oh, yeah.
you would do
Pan's
the
getting hot.
cumin in there also. I just did this only because the pan was getting hot.
Right.
And
you can turn that pan down if you go to the down arrow.
Okay.
There you go. I'll take that.
thank you. So before putting the rice, what I do is add the cumin seeds in there, the ground cumin, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so about half teaspoon
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and I'm putting it on the side so I can kind of roast it a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Chef just gave you a tip. She said that she put her ground cumin on the side of the pan just to help give it a little bit more roasting.
Yes.
Which is probably adding to that flavor profile by, giving it an extra roast.
yeah, and same thing, if you have some lumps in the rice, you want to make sure you break it down.
Right.
And then a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. You don't want to make it too cinnamony in this.
Right.
That'll get like overwhelming.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, just thinking about these different spices you're using, the flavors are coming together in my head. It sounds wonderful.
And then you do the salt.
Oh, I love that Himalayan salt.
And no sugar on this. So you do a little bit of jalapenos too, and I don't think I have enough in here, but I'm going to add those. So pretty much this is it. You just mix it all up, and then garnish it with cashew at the end. And again, I have the finished product.
Right. Now, you said that you would garnish it with beans as well.
With cashew.
Oh, with cashew?
nuts, yeah.
And is that your protein?
Yes, it could be part of the protein. So
Okay.
typically the rice pilafs or the dishes like this, you don't do beans as much. You do nuts or seeds.
Right.
And this used to be like a big part of the royal kitchens.
Really?
And this is like really like a peasant version of it, because we just have a few ingredients.
Right.
Otherwise, it could be dried fruits, dried nuts. In fact, I did an article in the paper last week that had fresh fruits in it,
Oh.
pomegranates and grapes and nuts in there.
Really?
So a lot of ingredients. And this basically, that's the seasoning is the base. You can do anything to it. You can add a
Right.
lot of things, and then
Right.
you cooked rice, and then you just put those two together. And I'm not kidding. I can make about 3 dozen of these. I'm not even just saying that. So yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. It'll turn a little more, depending on what you use. If you use a little more cumin and cinnamon, it turns almost like a light golden brown.
I never did any cooking that was Farsi or Iranian,
Okay.
but I talked to a chef and he told me they would take the basmati rice, they'd put some butter in the pan, and they'd just let it cook, and it formed a crust, so that when they took it out of the pan, if you take a plate and then flip the pan over and then slide it back in, you can get a crust on both
Right,
sides.
right.
And then you can serve
And
it with
sometimes
wedges.
the crust is intentional. It's not
Yeah.
that you burnt the rice and you're
Right,
eating it.
right.
So I'm glad you said that in a way because the Mughals ruled India for a long time.
Oh.
So a lot of the some of these rices are have that influence.
Oh, cool.
So South Indian food, for example, is more plain compared to some of the North Indian foods
Right.
that's more elaborate.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
today I have a combination. The rice is a North Indian rice typically, and then the soup is a South Indian. So
Wow,
I kind of
good.
marry the two together.
Great.
So let me just bring, I think we're done with this. I'm going to turn that off, Chef.
Yeah.
And let's bring,
Oh.
sorry. So here's the soup when it's all done. That's what it looks like.
God, it looks great. I'm going to put this in a place where we can get a good shot. I'm going to move that there. And I'll move this back here. And then you garnish the rice.
With the cashews, so that's
Are
already
these-
done here.
Are these, do you pan-sear them or roast
You can
them?
actually, you can get the, at the store. You can
Yeah.
do that, but then it's already has a little bit of
Right.
salt in there. You
So-
can buy those.
So do you garnish the rice of the soup?
Yes, that's the rice.
Rice.
See that?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're way ahead of me. All right, that's great. Well, this has been a great show. They've all been great, so.
Thank you, Chef. I enjoy this.
Yeah, and I just want to remind the viewers that Chef's Table Foundation currently reaches over 3 million people every week. And our mission is to produce a television cooking show, which we love. But because of how many people we reach, we are going to support homeless U.S. veterans that are in transition, and there are countless numbers of young adults that are homeless. So we have a scholarship fund, and as we look for candidates that would like to go into the culinary arts, that's our ultimate mission. So we really appreciate your viewership, and we definitely appreciate Aditi Tate,
Thank
Chef,
you.
Executive Director, and plus you do a few other things in town, President of,
Lions Memo.
yeah, yeah.
And Chef, I'd also like to thank the audience that's coming into our regular the cooking
Absolutely.
classes. You know,
Yeah.
they it's great for me to have them, and then when they come back and tell me that they made the meal, it's absolutely amazing.
Great, yeah.
And to be able to help for a good cause, I
Right.
think all my
Yeah.
friends here are
And
supporting
we
that
thank
too.
you because your son is a major in the
He
Air
is,
Force,
yes.
so we're grateful to your family as
Thank
well.
you.
Okay, well, thank you. Until next time, we appreciate your viewership. Thank you.
Hi, this is Joanne Keaveney, registered dietitian for the Chef's Table Foundation. I'm here to talk to you tonight about just some of the health benefits of the meal that you just saw. And I have to tell you, standing here, it looks amazing and it smells amazing. And we cannot wait to eat this afterwards. It's terrific. So one of the main things I want to talk to you about, just real briefly, there's a lot of press about coconuts. Coconut milk, coconut water, coconut oil. So I just want to clear the air. Coconut water is terrific. It has a lot of electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium. And if you're an athlete or not an athlete, you sweat a lot, I would highly encourage you to drink coconut water because it's really, really healthy, but not flavored coconut water. They have these things like pineapple flavored coconut water, which to me does not make sense because it's coconut water. But a lot of companies are adding sugar and flavor. So just make sure you have the original coconut water. And ideally, I like organic. Coconut oil is good because you can cook with really high heat. It has a very high smoke point. But, and the type of fat is called MCT, medium chain triglyceride, which means it goes directly to the liver to get metabolized as opposed to getting stored as fat. So a lot of people in TV shows have said use coconut oil, it's great, it supports the thyroid, will help you lose weight, it won't raise your cholesterol. Well, personally I tried using it and I used it nightly. I have to tell you, it wasn't like I used it once a week, but using it nightly, it made my own cholesterol go up, the bad cholesterol, the LDL. But I know other people that have used it frequently and it hasn't. So after doing a lot of research on this and talking to food scientists, what they're telling us is that the jury is not out yet, meaning we just don't know. So as long as you use it sparingly, like we've seen in a lot of the dishes the past couple of weeks, not a problem at all. And again, anything, as the chefs have talked about, and I talk about, everything in moderation, and it's perfectly fine. But sometimes people, when they hear something is a good thing, they go way overboard, and that's what we want to just be careful of. And it's a great moisturizer. On a side note, coconut oil is terrific. So just be careful that you use that in moderation. Now, the other thing I want to chat about real quick is the tomatoes. Now, tomatoes have one of the highest antioxidant properties. A lot of folks say, well, what's an antioxidant? Antioxidants are like vitamin-like compounds that help beat up free radicals being pollution, smoking, lots of alcohol, the sun. And so therefore, by having foods that contain antioxidants like the tomato, you can help kind of fight these scavengers, decrease inflammation in the body, and help protect yourself against things like cancer. So tomatoes have one of the highest levels of antioxidants in the world: vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. So if I were you, eat more tomatoes. They're also loaded with potassium, and that's one mineral that we don't get enough of in America. So easy on the coconuts, plenty of tomatoes, and this is Joanne Keaveney, nutritionist for the Chef's Table Foundation.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's fitness tip. My name is Carol O'Connor. I'm a certified fitness instructor and personal trainer. So what I like to show you today, I call them combos. And I love teaching these in my classes as well as with my clients. Combinations is when you're working your upper body and the lower body at the same time. So let's just say, you're pressed for time and you're like, I only have 10 or 15 minutes. Definitely incorporate these moves into your fitness regime, and you can use weights, or if you have anything at home like a gallon of water, you can use that as well. So the first tip I'm going to show you is called the wide-legged squat with the shoulder press. So you're going to take your feet as wide as your shoulders, okay? Flip the weight above your chest with your abs engaged, and just like a squat, you're going to sit back into that imaginary chair and lift your arms up over your head. So you're just coming down and lifting. You just want to make sure that all your body weight's in your hips and heels, and that you use a weight that's, not too heavy, but that's challenging enough for you to perform this. And as you're doing these moves, you're working your abs, your back, your legs, your shoulders. A lot of stuff's happening here. Now the next combination I'm going to show you is you're going to take two weights. I'm going to use 5 pounds, but you can go heavier. These are lunges with lateral raises. So in this case, I'm going to take 1 foot forward, and I'm going to bring the other leg back. So it's like your feet are on choo-choo tracks. And as you notice, I lost my balance. So you want to keep your abs in, let the arms hang, and then you're going to come down, making sure the front knee's above your ankle bone and your back knee's underneath your hip, okay? And then as you lift, just go as high as the top of your shoulders and down. But notice my back. My back is straight, and what's protecting my back is my abs, because they work together. And you just want to bring your arms as high as your shoulders, but make sure a lot of people tend to do is they drop the knuckles, so they're working through the wrist. We want to keep the wrist nice and straight. And breathe, of course. Now the next combination has to do with balance. So I'm going to grab my weight again. So these are called balancing leg extensions with a hammer curl. So with my abs in, I'm going to lift up my leg opposite than my arm. And again, using your ab strength from deep below your pelvic floor muscles, shoulders down and back, you're going to extend the leg at the same time, curl the arm. So when you're doing this move, you are squeezing your right thigh, push your heel forward, and at the same time, squeeze the bicep and keep those abs in. Combinations are a great way to work your whole body. So everyone, that was today's fitness tip. We'll see you next week.